July 27, 1963, Cal-Neva Lodge, Lake Tahoe. The Nevada Gaming Control Board agent stood in the lobby, clipboard in hand, badge visible. Sinatra's casino, Sinatra's staff. But the agent wasn't looking at either. He was looking at the man in the corner booth. Dark suit, bourbon. The kind of face you don't forget. Sam Giancana, Chicago mob boss, on Nevada's Black Book, banned from every casino in the state. And he was sitting in Frank Sinatra's lodge like he owned it. The agent wrote something down. Sinatra watched from across the room. The chairman's ice-blue eyes tracked the pen moving across paper. What happened next would cost Sinatra everything he'd built in Nevada. And the friendship that put Giancana in that booth would prove more dangerous than any enemy Sinatra ever made. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video for your support. Thank you for subscribing. To understand how the chairman lost his casino empire, you have to go back 3 years, to 1960. To the Cal-Neva Lodge purchase that seemed like Sinatra's smartest investment and his biggest mistake. Sinatra was 44 in 1960, peak of his comeback. The Oscar for From Here to Eternity had erased the collapse years. Capitol Records albums were selling millions. Dean Martin called him the chairman of the board, and the name stuck. The Sands Hotel in Vegas was his kingdom. The Rat Pack performed there 5 shows a week, sold out, every night. But Sinatra wanted more. Cal-Neva Lodge sat on the California-Nevada border at Lake Tahoe, elevation 6,000 feet, crystal clear water, mountain air. The state line ran through the middle of the property, through the swimming pool, through the casino floor, painted white line on the ground. You could stand with 1 foot in each state. 1 foot legal, 1 foot in the money. Sinatra loved the symbolism. The lodge had history. Built in 1926, survived the Depression. Famous guests, Clark Gable, Carol Lombard, Joe DiMaggio. But by 1960, Cal-Neva was dated. Worn carpets, old furniture. The casino floor needed renovation. The showroom needed upgrades. Sinatra saw potential. Lake Tahoe in summer, skiing in winter, entertainment year-round. He could bring the Rat Pack, Dean, Sammy, Peter Lawford, make Cal-Neva the Northern Sands. But Cal-Neva needed money, serious money. Renovations would cost $500,000. New kitchen, new showroom, updated casino floor, guest cottage expansion. Sinatra had cash, but not enough. Not for everything he envisioned. So he brought in partners. Silent partners. The kind who didn't appear on ownership papers but whose money made everything possible. Sam Giancana was one of them. Giancana ran Chicago, the outfit. Not just bookmaking and loan sharking. Giancana controlled judges, politicians, labor unions. His territory stretched from Chicago to Las Vegas. He had pieces of the Stardust, the Desert Inn, the Riviera. Las Vegas casinos were Giancana's laundromats. Dirty money went in. Clean money came out, and Giancana had helped elect a president. November 1960, Kennedy versus Nixon, razor-thin race. Illinois was the swing state, and Chicago controlled Illinois. On election night, downstate Illinois went for Nixon. But Chicago? The votes came in late, very late. Precincts in Giancana's territory reported last. When the Chicago numbers were finally counted, Kennedy won Illinois by less than 9,000 votes. Giancana, years later, would claim he'd delivered Illinois. Stolen it, really. For Kennedy, for the presidency. And Sinatra had been the connection. The bridge between the mob and Camelot. Sinatra knew Giancana from the 1950s. They met in Chicago. Mutual friends, shared interests. Giancana appreciated Sinatra's music. Sinatra appreciated Giancana's power. They became friends. Real friends, or as close to real as a mobster and an entertainer could get. When Sinatra needed money for Cal-Neva, Giancana provided it. Not loans from banks, not investors with paperwork. Cash, untraceable. Giancana's name appeared nowhere in the ownership documents, but he had a stake, an understanding, a piece of Sinatra's Lake Tahoe empire. And in return, Giancana had a place to go, a place to relax, a place where nobody asked questions. For 2 years, the arrangement worked. Cal-Neva reopened in summer 1961, renovated, upgraded. Sinatra performed there. Dean Martin performed there. The celebrities came. The money flowed. But by 1963, everything had changed. The Kennedy administration had turned. Attorney General Robert Kennedy, the president's brother, was prosecuting organized crime with unprecedented, almost personal, aggression. Bobby Kennedy hated the mob, hated their power, hated their corruption. He created a special organized crime task force. Wiretaps, grand juries, indictments, raids. The mob bosses who'd helped elect JFK were now targets. And Giancana? He was at the top of Bobby Kennedy's list. The FBI followed Giancana everywhere. Surveillance teams, rotating shifts. They followed him to restaurants, to his home, to his girlfriend's apartment. The Bureau wanted Giancana off the streets, in prison, or at minimum, squeezed so hard he'd make a mistake. In July 1963, the Nevada Gaming Control Board made its move. They added Giancana to the Black Book, officially the list of excluded persons. It was Nevada's nuclear option. If your photograph was in the Black Book, you were banned from every casino in the state. Not just from gambling, from entering, from being seen on the property. If Giancana set foot on casino property, the license holder faced immediate penalties, fines, suspension, revocation, complete loss of gaming privileges. Giancana's photograph was distributed to every gaming establishment in Nevada. Every casino had a copy, every pit boss, every security guard. The message was clear. If you see this man, call the Gaming Control Board. Sinatra knew this. Everyone in Nevada knew this. The Black Book wasn't secret. It was public, intentionally public. But Sam Giancana was Sinatra's friend. More than friend, Giancana had backed the Cal-Neva investment when banks wouldn't touch it. Mob money had renovated the lodge. Mob connections had smoothed the licensing. Mob muscle had solved the labor problems. Loyalty to Sinatra was currency. Religion, identity. Sinatra had grown up in Hoboken, New Jersey. Italian neighborhood, working class. You didn't betray your friends. You didn't forget who helped you. Those rules, street rules, neighborhood rules, they didn't disappear when Sinatra became the chairman. And in late July 1963, Giancana came to Cal-Neva Lodge. He didn't hide, didn't sneak in through a back entrance, didn't use a false name. Sam Giancana walked through the front entrance of Cal-Neva Lodge like he had every right to be there. Because to Giancana and to Sinatra, he did. The Gaming Control Board had agents watching. They'd been watching Cal-Neva for months. Rumors of mob involvement, whispers about Giancana, tips from informants. But rumors weren't evidence. Whispers weren't proof. Until July 27th. The agent who walked into Cal-Neva that Saturday night had Giancana's photograph in his jacket pocket. Black Book exclusion order. Clear instructions from the Gaming Control Board. Document any violations. Photograph if possible. Report immediately. The agent entered the lodge just after 8 p.m. Summer evening. The sun was setting over Lake Tahoe. The casino floor was filling up. Weekend crowd, tourists, high rollers. Slot machines chimed, dealers shuffled cards. Waitresses in short skirts carried drinks on silver trays. Everything normal, everything legal. Except the man in the corner booth. Everything was building toward the moment when loyalty to a mobster would collide with Sinatra's gaming license. When the chairman would have to choose between the friend who'd financed his empire and the state that granted him the right to run it. When the rules of Hoboken would meet the rules of Nevada, and only one set of rules could win. Sinatra was at the Cal-Neva bar when the gaming control board agent entered. He was talking to his manager. Going over the weekend entertainment schedule, Dean Martin was performing that night. 2 shows, 9 and midnight. Sinatra wore a charcoal suit, white shirt, thin black tie. His salt and pepper hair was perfectly styled. The heavy gold ring on his pinky finger caught the bar lights. He saw the agent immediately. You don't run casinos without learning to spot law enforcement. The suit was too conservative, the posture too alert. The way his eyes scanned the room, methodical, professional. Sinatra's jaw tightened. He set his drink down. The agent walked past the registration desk, past the gift shop, past the cocktail lounge where a pianist played soft jazz, into the main casino area, blackjack tables, roulette wheel, craps table, slot machines lining the walls. And there, in the corner booth near the California side of the property line, sat Sam Giancana. No attempt at disguise, no effort to hide. Navy suit, white shirt, dark tie. Giancana sat alone, bourbon on the rocks in front of him. His face, broad, hard, the face of a man who'd seen and done terrible things, was unmistakable. Giancana looked exactly like his black book photograph. The agent pulled the photograph from his jacket pocket, held it at chest level, compared it to the man in the booth. Perfect match. Same broad face, same dark eyes, same slicked back hair. The agent approached the booth. His shoes clicked on the polished floor. Slot machines chimed around him. But the agent's focus was absolute. According to witness accounts later provided to investigators, the exchange was brief and professional. Sir, I need to see your identification. Giancana looked up slowly. Ice clinked in his glass as he shifted position. The agent stood there, badge visible on his belt, clipboard in hand. The agent identified himself by name. Nevada Gaming Control Board, Special Investigator. Giancana, witnesses later recalled, didn't speak. He just stared. Not aggressive, not threatening, just stared. The kind of stare that comes from 40 years of power. The kind of stare that meant more than words. The agent didn't flinch. His voice remained steady, professional. Mr. Giancana, you're on the state's excluded persons list. You're not permitted on these premises. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Across the casino floor, Sinatra watched, his jaw clenched, muscles tight. The agent had a notebook now, writing, documenting every detail, time, date, location, Giancana's exact position in the casino. Sinatra set his glass down on the bar. Hard. The sound carried. He walked toward them, not running. The chairman didn't run, but moving with purpose, shoulders back, head high, eyes sharp and ice blue. Casino guests noticed. Dealers glanced up. A few people recognized Sinatra, the chairman, the owner, moving across his own casino floor like a man going to war. Those present, dealers, cocktail waitresses, casino guests, later recalled Sinatra's voice cutting through the casino noise. Sharp, clear, authority in every word. There a problem here? The agent turned. He'd been expecting this, probably wanted this. Face to face with the license holder, official contact, official documentation. Mr. Sinatra, I'm documenting the presence of an excluded person on your licensed property. Sinatra looked at Giancana. Their eyes met. Some communication passed between them, unspoken. Years of friendship, years of mutual benefit, years of understanding. Then Sinatra looked back at the agent. This is a private establishment. This is a licensed gaming establishment, the agent said. His voice remained calm, procedural. Subject to Nevada Gaming Commission regulations. Mr. Giancana is in violation of his exclusion order. You, as license holder, are responsible for ensuring excluded persons do not enter the premises. The moment crystallized. 3 men. 1 booth. 1 white line painted on the floor marking California from Nevada. The entire empire hanging in balance. Sinatra could have backed down. Could have asked Giancana to leave. Could have apologized to the agent. Claimed he didn't know Giancana was there. Claimed ignorance. Showed cooperation. His attorneys would later say that's exactly what he should have done. But Sinatra, according to multiple accounts from those present, made a different choice. Sam's my guest. He stays. The agent wrote that down, word for word. Pen moving across paper, official documentation. Then he looked up at Sinatra, met those ice-blue eyes directly. That's your official position, Mr. Sinatra? That's my position. The moment stretched. The casino noise continued around them, slot machines, laughter, ice clinking in glasses. But in that booth, silence. The agent closed his notebook, slipped it into his jacket pocket. The Gaming Control Board will be in contact, Mr. Sinatra. Very soon. He walked out, past the blackjack tables, past the slot machines, past the casino guests who now openly stared, out through the main entrance, into the Lake Tahoe night. Sinatra stayed at the booth. He sat down across from Giancana, slowly, like a man who'd just made a decision he couldn't take back. A waiter appeared instantly. Mr. Sinatra? Jack Daniels. Neat. No ice. The waiter disappeared, returned 30 seconds later with the drink, set it on the table, left without a word. Sinatra and Giancana sat there. What they said to each other, nobody knows. That conversation was never documented, never overheard, never reported in any investigation. But witnesses later recalled the scene. 2 men in a booth, Sinatra's casino, Giancana's presence, and somewhere in Nevada, a gaming control board agent writing his report. The empire had just started crumbling. Within 48 hours, the Nevada Gaming Control Board opened a formal investigation into Cal-Neva Lodge. They had everything they needed. Photographs taken by the agent, witness statements from casino staff, documentation of Giancana's presence, Sinatra's statement, on record, that Giancana was his guest and would stay. Sam Giancana. Black Book exclusion. On licensed property, with the license holder's knowledge, consent, and protection. The Gaming Control Board moved fast. This wasn't a minor violation. This was a license holder publicly defying state gaming regulations. This was the owner of 2 major Nevada casinos, Cal-Neva and the Sands, choosing a mobster over compliance. On August 8, 1963, the Nevada Gaming Control Board issued a formal citation to Frank Sinatra. The complaint was detailed, multiple violations, allowing an excluded person on the premises, failing to remove said person when ordered, making statements in support of the violation. A hearing was scheduled. August 28, 1963, Carson City, Nevada. Sinatra was required to appear, to answer questions, to explain why his gaming license shouldn't be revoked. Not just at Cal-Neva. At the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, too. Everything Sinatra had built in Nevada was at risk. His attorneys understood the stakes immediately. This wasn't about one incident at one casino. This was about whether Frank Sinatra could own casinos at all, whether the chairman of the board could remain a legitimate part of Nevada gaming. The attorneys advised cooperation, full cooperation. Apologize to the board. Express regret. Distance yourself from Giancana publicly. Claim you didn't know the severity of the Black Book regulations. Show contrition. Show you're willing to comply. Throw Giancana under the bus. Save the empire. Sinatra, those close to him later recalled, refused. Absolutely. Completely. I don't apologize for loyalty. On August 28, 1963, Sinatra appeared before the Nevada Gaming Control Board in Carson City. The hearing was closed to the public, but details leaked to the press, to law enforcement, to the FBI file that was growing thicker every year. Sinatra was defiant, not apologetic, not contrite, defiant. He didn't deny Giancana's presence at Cal-Neva, didn't claim ignorance of the Black Book, didn't distance himself from the friendship. Years later, one board member claimed Sinatra's testimony included words to the effect of, "Sam Giancana is my friend. I don't tell my friends where they can't go. You can take my license, but I won't betray the people who stood by me." Loyalty. Absolute. Uncompromising. The street rules of Hoboken applied in the boardroom of Carson City. The Gaming Control Board members looked at each other. This wasn't the response they'd expected. This wasn't cooperation. This wasn't contrition. This was a man choosing friendship over business, loyalty over empire. The board gave Sinatra an ultimatum: sell Cal-Neva Lodge. Sever all financial ties to Sam Giancana, publicly and permanently. Agree to enhanced compliance measures at the Sands Hotel, or face immediate revocation of all gaming licenses. The choice was simple: the mob or the casinos. Sinatra walked out of the hearing, drove from Carson City back to Lake Tahoe, back to Cal-Neva, the lodge he'd renovated, the empire he'd built, the dream of making Lake Tahoe his northern kingdom. And within weeks, he put the property up for sale. He sold Cal-Neva Lodge in September 1963, sold his ownership stake at a loss. The renovations had cost $500,000. The sale barely covered the debt. The lodge he'd poured money, vision, and friendship into, gone. But he kept his gaming license at the Sands Hotel, for now. The Nevada Gaming Control Board accepted the sale. Cal-Neva was no longer Sinatra's problem, but the message was sent. The line was drawn. Frank Sinatra had chosen loyalty to a mobster over compliance with Nevada law, and it had cost him. But the consequences went deeper than one casino. And from that day on, the FBI intensified surveillance on Frank Sinatra. The Cal-Neva incident was documented in his federal file. Page after page, evidence of association, pattern of behavior, connection between America's most beloved entertainer and organized crime's most wanted boss. Every future business venture would be scrutinized, every casino license questioned, every association investigated. The Cal-Neva incident became Exhibit A in the government's case that Frank Sinatra was more than friends with the mob. He was part of it. In 1967, Sinatra would lose his gaming license at the Sands Hotel, too. Different incident, same pattern. Sinatra's temper, Sinatra's rules, Sinatra's refusal to bend. The friendship that had financed Sinatra's comeback became the connection that would haunt him for decades. Gaming commissions in multiple states questioned his character. Federal investigators monitored his movements. The IRS audited his returns year after year. But Sinatra never publicly distanced himself from Giancana, never apologized for the loyalty, never claimed he'd made a mistake at Cal-Neva. In 1975, Sam Giancana was murdered, shot 7 times in his basement, execution style. 1 week before he was scheduled to testify before a Senate committee about CIA plots and Kennedy connections. Sinatra attended the funeral, quietly, no press. But he was there. Some betrayals are strategic, necessary for survival, but refusing to betray? That carries its own cost. Power in America has rules, licenses, regulations, paperwork. You follow the rules, you keep the power. You break the rules, you lose everything. Sinatra lived by different rules, street rules, loyalty rules, the codes he'd learned in Hoboken. You stand by your friends. You don't forget who helped you. You don't betray the people who were there when you needed them. He sang "My Way" and meant it. But the government was building a file. The mob was watching. And the chairman's empire, built on talent, ambition, and dangerous friendships, was more fragile than it looked. Cal-Neva Lodge still stands on Lake Tahoe. The state line still runs through the property. You can still stand with 1 foot in California, 1 foot in Nevada. The casino has changed hands multiple times. Different owners, different names, different eras. But the casino that Frank Sinatra lost over loyalty to a mobster, that's a different kind of legacy. Not the music, not the movies, not the Oscar or the #1 albums, but the choice he made when forced to choose between power and loyalty, between empire and friendship, between the rules of Nevada and the rules of Hoboken. He chose loyalty, and it cost him everything he'd built in Nevada.